My earliest recollection of Madison Avenue Christian Church is sitting in the pew with my mother, father, sister, and brother, and gazing up at the window into the face of Jesus as he gathered the little children around him and loved and taught them. Early in my life, I learned that he watched over and cared for each of his children, and that included me. Years came and went. Wifehood, motherhood, joys and sorrow, life and death became a part of my way, and I found myself looking across the sanctuary to the window with the lilies, seeking to understand more fully what he had in mind beyond the horizon. The lilies spoke of hope, the trees of life, and the roadway led beyond to the unknown. But tomorrow was another day. Claudia Branham.
One day years ago, as I sat alone in the MACC sanctuary, as the sunlight streamed through the stained glass masterpieces, I began listing exquisite shades and tints of various colors to use as a reference for art appreciation and creative writing classes for my students. It's been my privilege to gaze upon these majestic windows for several decades. I've always been in awe over their beauty and their stories, and I'm so honored to have been an original donor along with my family. The Light of the World window encouraged me to realize that Jesus lights up not only my spiritual life, but my professional life as well. Meditating upon these windows continuously inspires me to be a reflection of his light, to be the good news of Jesus Christ in any way possible.
My favorite window is the I am the light of the world window on the north side of the church, which just happens to be the window where I sit every Sunday. Not surprisingly, as an 8 or 9-year-old kid, I spent an enormous amount of time staring into that window when maybe I should have been listening to sermons. And that's probably something that other people would understand as well. But I love that window. I was talking to Simon about a week ago, and the point that he made about the window is it's a very contemporary window. It's not this traditional scene of Jesus like we have in the two windows on the south side. It's a nature scene, and it's amazing. I've spent so incredibly much time looking at that window. I've even had dreams that take place in that window. And just the beautiful, peaceful scene. It's always been kind of my view of maybe what heaven would look like, something like that. But that window's always meant a lot to me.
When I think of Madison Avenue Christian Church and try to think of some special thing about it, some private thing aside from the many good friends and precious memories of worship and fellowship there, I find myself drifting back to the many times I went to the church alone to practice on the piano. I'm sure, without a doubt, that I never did this without being drawn for a few moments to the beautiful Tiffany windows behind me. Of course, the windows on the south side are very beautiful, but those on the north, they are incomparable. Have you ever stood directly beneath them and looked up? I have, many times, because I was fascinated by the three-dimensional work that required endless hours of putting layer upon layer of glass, lovingly and painstakingly bringing out the shading of the earth and sky, all contributing to the peaceful, garden-like reminder of the 23rd Psalm. There is nothing more beautiful to me than those windows at sunset. Just a few minutes there restored my soul and brought me closer to God and the peace we find in living with Him. Mary Anderson.
It is an honor when I show prospective couples that want to have their wedding in our sanctuary around And the windows are always the first thing that they comment on. And I'm just like a proud parent, and I'm so eager to tell them all the stories and how unique they are, how expensive they have been to restore, and just all the wonderful stories that we have heard over the years about our windows. They are so glorious and beautiful.
I know that the windows above the choir loft are not the big, noticeable stained glass windows that you see around the rest of the sanctuary. But I also spent a lot of time looking at the windows above the choir loft when I was a kid, because I would see the light behind those windows. And those windows used to be open to the outside. And I always imagined that God had an apartment above the church, and that God would look out from those windows over the congregation each Sunday and see everyone there worshiping. And that's how God kept watch over us.
When I am in church and there's a quiet moment and a lull in the service or beautiful music playing, I always look up at the windows and kind of meditate about what they may mean to me. The one side being very colorful and Jesus and so forth. I think about what that means to me. And then when I look at the other side and I see the nature, I meditate about how important nature is to us and how beautiful and miraculous it is. So the windows to me have different, I can reflect on different things, and I look at them and use those moments to meditate about the importance of them in my life. Not so much that they're these big, expensive, beautiful windows, but that they have meaning to them.
My fondest memory of the windows was many years ago. We had what was called a youth service, and I was chosen to give one of the sermons. And that was pretty stressful for me because I was pretty young at the time. I think I was maybe just 13, something like that. Anyway, I went up into the church on a Saturday to practice for that, and basically had mental block about that until I started looking at the pictures. And then I saw Jesus' open hands, and I saw the children sitting on his lap, and I saw the nature ones. And there was just such a peaceful, easy way to sit there. And I referenced those windows in my sermon, in my youth sermon. So generally, that I would say that's probably one of the first memories that I have of noticing the windows, noticing the importance of them, and having that come into some sort of meaning for not only me, but for a sermon or something that I was saying to the church.
Although all four of the windows are beautiful, I have to say my two favorite are on the north side. As I'm sitting in the elder's chair a lot of times and I look over at them, I have to think that the garden scenes could be that Easter Sunday morning when Jesus arose. And one could be the Garden of Gethsemane, where Jesus prayed that the cup be lifted from him. They are just so meaningful.
If these walls could talk, the stories they might tell. Yet don't forget the windows have one to share as well. With names like Light of the World and Come Unto Me, they speak to a vision of how life should be. Christ blessing the children, his acts fair and just, they gather around him with eyes full of trust. I am the resurrection and the life, one proclaims, sure in the knowledge that he knows each our names. Did those who gave ever question their cost, or simply choose to honor the living and the lost? They stepped out in faith with a commitment to cause, though at times I am sure they wanted to pause. Given in love and with complete devotion, designed to arouse our deepest emotion. They sought to inspire, uplift, and bring peace, reflecting love from our Father that will never cease. No simple panel of solid colors would do. There would be rainbows of light viewed from each pew. Thousands of colors, each unique in their way, changing and blending with the light of a day. So too we have our own light to shine, because he has called us and said, "You are mine." These windows of ours stand strong and tall, glowing with promise that extends to all. They tell of our future and honor our past, a testament to what matters and what will last. Each window has many facets of love, for family, for church, and our Father above. Remarkable, priceless, irreplaceable, we are told. Their value can't be measured in mere silver or in gold. Remarkable, priceless, irreplaceable, to be bold, describes our faith journey within Christ's fold. These windows of ours have stories to share. May they continue to speak through our loving care.